So shifting gears now for my final question. Canadian farmers, as you know, are amongst the most innovative and sustainable in the world. They're constantly adopting new technology and practices that allow them to grow more food with fewer inputs and fewer resources.
Yes.
But according to the 2019 edition of the IMD World Competitiveness Ranking, the first time since 1997 has Canada fallen out of the top 10. This report cites the lack of innovation as being one of the primary causes. So what is your vision as it relates not only to Canada's agriculture sector, but also to the country when it comes to the government's role in encouraging innovation and investment in Canada?
Well, to start with, we have to make sure that the fundamentals are in good shape. We have a stable legal system. We have a very talented workforce. We have a good healthcare system. We have a peaceful and secure society, all of which contributes to being a good place to do business and to make investments. All of that is to the good for Canada, stands to our credit. We need to maintain the two critical fiscal principles that we have mentioned in the last several budgets, but most particularly in the current election platform, and that is maintaining Canada's AAA credit rating and maintaining the best debt ratio in the G7. That is a decided competitive advantage. Canada's debt ratio is now around 30-31%. 15, 20 years ago, it was 70%, which was absolutely unsustainable. So we're now leading the Western world in terms of our debt standing in the definition of the debt ratio, which is a distinct improvement, and that allows us to maintain our AAA credit rating. Those fiscal anchors are extremely important to our competitive position. We need to consider the appropriate tax measures, as we did in the fall of last year when we launched the much improved accelerated capital cost allowance, which now for machinery and for technology, equipment, and buildings in most sectors of the economy allows write-offs to happen in 3 years or less, which helps to accelerate the pace of investment. We now have, because of those tax changes, we have the best marginal effective tax rates in the G7. We are better than the average in the OECD, and we are 5 points better than the United States, which would be our principal competitive comparison. So those sorts of techniques, accelerated capital cost allowance, even refundable accelerated capital cost allowance, structured in the right way, can be very helpful in encouraging the kind of investment and growth we would like to see. Investing in the right kind of infrastructure is also exceedingly important, like trade gateways and corridors and port facilities. We now have a brand new Prairie Port at Churchill, which only a couple of years ago was totally shut down and dysfunctional. It's now a new export alternative that we want to see fully developed. But investing in the infrastructure that gets our products and commodities into export position is extremely important. So we're physically able to move our valuable commodities into world trade. That includes the investments we've made in short-line rail systems, in highways that are part of the national trade network. And another strategic investment is water. We want to expand our productive capacity, and we will use all the tools of innovation and technology to do that, but you still need the fundamentals of soil and water. And water resources on the prairies are going to come under greater and greater pressure because of climate change. The old story, we either have too much water or too little of it, and it's usually in the wrong place. So how can we engineer the right kind of water development and control infrastructure to make the maximum use of this very precious freshwater resource, which Canada is especially endowed in all of the world, but that endowment is threatened by climate change. So we need to make sure that we've got the infrastructure tools in place to flood-proof, to drought-proof, to do value-added diversification in production as much as possible. And then investing in skills. We need a talented workforce going forward. We have one. It is a well-educated workforce, but that race for knowledge and for science never stops. So you need to keep on making the investments in science and in innovation to keep pace with the rest of the world. And in that regard, the new protein supercluster. Across Western Canada, based largely in Saskatchewan, but encompassing a great portion of agricultural Canada. We want to be the very best in the world at everything that has to do with protein, growing it, learning how to grow it better, learning how to manipulate it and manufacture products and goods that flow from it, financing it, the logistics of transporting it. Having this supercluster has enormous potential. It's been estimated by the private sector that we could be adding 4,500 jobs and 4.5% to GDP if we become the world's best at knowing everything that we need to know about plant protein. So those are the kinds of things that we have started to do, and I think can do better in order to attract investment and to be innovative as any of our competitors, and hopefully more so.